Good morning, 9 a.m. You know what that means? Time for the simultaneous sip. Thank you, Scott Adams. Okay, I'm noticing in my journals so far, we are almost halfway through journal number 3, and I'm noticing a pattern. I'm noticing that my undiagnosed ADHD is rearing its head. I'm trying to figure things out about why I can't seem to be a normal boy. And I start thinking about why time management doesn't work. And I'm starting to see now, I could title this 9 Reasons Time Management Doesn't Work, especially if you have ADHD. And I came up with these 9 things that, looking back at them, are very helpful. I actually wrote a little book about this back then. But here we go. So number 1 is we don't know what we want. And for me, what I've discovered now about my ADHD is an executive function issue is the real thing. And so I've learned that I see all the options possible as being possible right now. And they all carry equal weight. And I have a hard time prioritizing and selecting. My decider is broken. And so I see feels like everything needs to be done. In my mind, it's already done, but I have a hard time narrowing myself to what I want. So I end up finding a lot of times where I'm sitting in a spot where I have the time to do something. I have the great everything I need, but I can't get myself to decide and choose this one over this one over this one. It doesn't feel like sequencing things is really troublesome. So I started using elimination tournaments where I would set up 6 things or 8 things in a bracket, like the NCAA tournament or a tennis tournament, and I would play them off against each other to find the one thing so that then I could focus on that thing. And that led into number 2 is we don't put first things first. And so I would tend to work on the thing that's most interesting to me or novel or new. I don't know why. I just have an unending energy and appetite to work on new things rather than the thing that is now making something that I already know is a priority. I already know that maybe I really want to get it done, but not until it moves to the point of I need to get it done. Does that stimulate my brain into action? So deadlines are a real thing. I love them and hate them at the same time. Number 3 is we focus on the wrong time frame. So I tend to realize, this is where you've heard me say a lot, that time moves at the speed of reality. And that I found is absolutely true. That's a physical thing that we're moving through at 60 miles per hour. My brain, as a creative, can shapeshift. It can get things done quickly in my mind. I see what actually needs to be done, but you still actually have to do the work in real time. And that seems like the snail's pace for me. But focusing on everything that I want to get done in the week or in the month or the quarter or the year is the wrong time frame. The only time frame that is actionable at the very most is today. So the 1,000 minutes that we get today of waking time, and more realistically, the most actionable time is the 100 minutes. The next 100 minutes is the immediately actionable future. And try it out for yourself. You still have hope that you can get a lot done today. But if you narrow the focus to what can I do in the next 100 minutes or what could be done in 10 minutes, I tend to use 10-minute blocks of currency. And so I take my 1,000 minutes as I have 100 10-minute blocks. And you'd be surprised what you can actually get done in one little 10-minute thing. But there's a lot to this of focusing on what you can do. One of the things when I do the elimination tournaments too, one of the things that you'll find is that I try and get myself in this comfort zone of what actually has to be done today. And that's an important word when I'm thinking, especially if you're an ADHD brinksman like I am, like the last minute of things is, if it's not due until, midnight, well, that's not now. If it's 9 a.m. in the morning, there's still plenty of time. And I don't know, it's a funny thing, but that's these little games kind of help. So if you look and see of the things that are worrying you, or the things that you feel pressure or you're procrastinating, is just kind of look at it and say to yourself, what happens if I don't do anything in the next 100 minutes or in the next 1,000 minutes? Like if I didn't do anything on this today, and that gives you a sense of the things that have priorities. And by the way, as a side note, almost everything that you feel or I feel, I can't speak for your brain, but for my brain, everything that I feel that pressure with is because it involves somebody else. So it's always a sense of that person is expecting this, or they're waiting for this. And that's, I don't know, I never feel that kind of pressure from myself. It's always on behalf of other people. So number 4 is we don't leverage our time. I read a great book years ago called The 90-Minute Hour by J. Conrad Levinson. And I found it fascinating because he was talking about the great efficiencies of stacking things that you can do while you're doing something else. If something takes 30 minutes, but you can do something else while you're doing it, you can create a 90-minute hour. For instance, you want to listen to this podcast or you want to have this conversation and you want to go for a 30-minute walk, you can go for a walk and listen to the podcast, and that helps you leverage and get more things done in that time that you're looking for. So I really started looking for all the leverage, the things that you could stack or batch or do things that multiply the amount of time that you're able to spend. He was one of the first guys that I heard of recommending, playing things at 1.5 speed, or, giving yourself the chance to listen to something that's an hour long at 1.5 speed. So not everything is appropriate to kind of take that approach, because there's a lot to be said for taking your time to read and understand and think about a book that you want to listen to. It's not just about jamming it into your ear holes so that you get the information in the most efficient way. Number 5 is we don't allow ourselves to be supported. And Michael Gerber talks a lot about this, that part of the thing as entrepreneurs, when we reach a growth phase, we often have a hard time letting go of things, of doing things that are that we think we could do. But the real thing is looking through your stuff and realizing, is there anything that anybody else could do for me? Letting go and being supported in things is a big piece of making time management work, especially for ADHD, or I'm going to even call it entrepreneurial brain, because I think it's mostly people that have that are entrepreneurs deal with the same things, whether you have ADHD or not. Number 6, we don't have systems for the routine. So there's a really interesting thing that if we're constantly reinventing something, that if you notice that you're running into an issue again and again, there's a real kind of time debt that you're setting yourself up for, that you're going to have to do something. Again, I would constantly look at my environment and look at things that I end up having to do again and again. Something, even simple things, like I would notice, okay, there would be a lot of trash or papers or mail or things that would end up in my car on the passenger seat, and I wouldn't do them right away. But then I had this idea of putting a garbage can right outside the door to my car in my garage, so that it is super easy that when I pull into the garage, I take whatever was there, I put it in the garbage, and off I go. And that's kind of it's a really interesting thing, but you start looking for, how can I systemize things to make it easy? I would constantly lose my keys, so I got a bowl to put in the front entrance of my house where there are drawers in the front. And in the bowl is just where I would throw my keys. Now I don't even need a key. It's all on my phone, but that's a good thing, systemizing things. Number 7 is we are in time debt. And that's a really interesting thing. When you look at things that you've been procrastinating, things that you have to do, things that need to be done that you've been putting off, I look at that as time debt. And psychologically, it weighs on you in the same way that being in financial debt weighs on you. You can't kind of make good plans for the future knowing that you've got to clean up whatever time debt you're in. So great exercise is to make a list of treating it like, what do I have to do? What do I owe people right now? What am I in time debt for? And making a list like that and starting almost like what Dave Ramsey would call a time debt snowball, where you start with the thing that you could knock off the list the fastest and then get that progress and keep going and eliminate that time debt. Number 8 is we don't have the energy. Is that sometimes, it's draining. Sometimes when you've got all these things to do and you're not making any progress, not making progress and procrastinating on things is exhausting sometimes. And when you have a block of time blocked on your calendar to do something, it's important that you have the energy to do it, that you have the energy to do the things that you need. So that's why I love Brian Johnson talks about the shift to being a professional sleeper, because sleep, I think, is a wonderful thing that helps you make the most of the 1,000 minutes that you're available, or the 110-minute blocks that you have in a day. And the number 9 reason that time management almost never works is we are afraid. And Eben Pagan and I would talk about this, that I think that part of this, when I say that, is that we're afraid to set big goals. You're afraid to take action on something. You're afraid of what that might mean. And so we limit ourselves, afraid of failure, afraid of, what are you afraid of in a situation that is blocking you from doing it? So there we go. That's a fun page, a fun find in journal number 3. And hopefully those things will help you understand your entrepreneurial ADHD brain. I got a funny email the other day from Rick. It says, Dean, question. Are you saying you can teach me to make fat stacks by hanging out at a pub, drinking coffee like you? And I laughed to myself because I was thinking, yes, I can do that. That's what I do. Is the funny thing, what I really realized is that every idea that I've had, every dollar that I've made over the last 30 years has gone through my brain, through my pen, onto a piece of paper in my journal before it went out into the real world. And if I can turn people onto that activity as a driver for what to do, what to think about, what to ask yourself to draw out, what the next most valuable action is for you, and how to find the most profitable things that you can install in your business, I'm all for it. So this Friday at 1 p.m., I'm going to do, for the first time, a 50-minute profit finder workshop. And you're going to join me live on Zoom, and we're going to go through a 50-minute exercise. Bring your pen, bring a notebook or piece of paper, and I'm going to guide you through a thinking process that will help you identify where the lowest hanging fruit is in your business, and maybe some fruit that you didn't even know was there, but I'm going to show you where to look for it. So it's free. It's for you. It's Friday at 1 p.m. this Friday. Just watch. Go to, what did we call the website, Josh?
50-minute profit finder.
Just go to 50minuteprofitfinder.com and I'll get you all the details, and hopefully you can join us then Friday, 1 p.m.